All right, my name's Garett Macdonald, CEO of Maritime Resources. Thanks to Kai and his team for putting this on. My first time in Frankfurt. It's great to be here. So I'm here to give you an update on Maritime, what our company is and where we're focused. And let's get into it. Please have a look at those at your convenience. So Maritime is, we're a Canadian junior gold exploration company. We are also in a development project as well called Hammerdown, which I'll tell you about. Our corporate structure, just as a quick snapshot here, we're really tightly held by about 4 or 5 different institutions, including one strategic investor. So between about the 4 or 5 of them, we have about 50% of the company tied up in those hands. It's been great. They've been very supportive of the company as we've worked on this over the last 3 years. I've been with the company for about 3. I'm a mining engineer is my background, formerly with Placer Dome and Suncor Energy. We did a financing just a little while ago, and we brought in Gold Resource Corporation for 9.9%. So we've got some research coverage from Sprott and from Canaccord. We've got about $3.5 million in cash at the moment, and we're working on a 5,000 meter drill program currently, which I'll tell you about here in a second. So we're in Newfoundland, and I hope everybody knows where that is. It's on the eastern side of Canada. It's an island. Newfoundland, I was just looking before this, is about the size of Cuba. This is the island. And our land position is here on the bottom left corner of that map, about 400 square kilometers that we control. Now, this is an area called the Bayvert Mining District. Okay, so we've got 2 operating mines in the area right now. There's 2 processing plants. There's been a long history of mineral development and exploration in this area for a long time. We are about 100 kilometers south of kind of the top of this peninsula here from our land package. 2 operating mines, Rambler Metals and Mining has a copper mine here. Signal Gold is operating a small open pit mine to the north, and then there's us. So this is a great area to work in, very similar to what you'd see in Sudbury or Timmins, Red Lake, Val-d'Or, where you've got multiple gold and copper development projects. There's infrastructure everywhere that you need. Hydropower, you've got port facilities, and most importantly, you've got skilled labor. And a lot of Newfoundlanders fly in and fly out to different mines around Canada, so you do see a lot of people flying out of Deer Lake to go up to Fort Mac or go up to the diamond mines. But it's a small province population-wise. It's only about probably 500,000 people on this island. So we've got everything we need here to develop our main project and to continue exploring. And it's a great area to work in. So the Hammerdown project, we'll talk about this for a second. So this is our key asset, and we've been working on this for about 3 years. We've taken it through the early design PEA level studies. We just completed a feasibility study on the project in August. Back up a little bit about Hammerdown. It was a former asset operated by Richmont. Richmont, you remember them, mines such as Kiena, Island Gold up in Ontario, and Hammerdown. Now, Richmont ran here for about 4 years, 2000 to 2004, in a much different gold price environment. $300, $400 per ounce is when this mine was running. And it operated with an 8-gram cutoff grade. I think it was actually 8.5. So narrow, underground, kind of high-grade vein mining, average grade of about 15.7 grams per ton. It's a nice, clean ore body. It's very similar geologically to Dalradian over in Northern Ireland. Vertical veins, there may be 1 to 2 meters wide. You can see a good example here on the screen of one of the veins at surface. Now, we're working with what Richmont left behind. Obviously, with a high cutoff grade, they did leave a lot of mineralization behind, and at $1,700 an ounce, the economics look a little different. So we went back in to see what we could do here to open this mine up again. Richmont did do a good job of reclaiming the mine when they left, so there's no environmental legacy items or issues that we have to work with. So we came in as a new group with a new approach, and we look at it as an open pit development plan instead of underground mining. So we have over 100 of these different veins. They'll range, like I said, 1 to 2 meters wide, sometimes even half a meter, but they might be 1 to 2 ounces per ton. The veins are separated by waste. You can see, obviously, the very distinct ore and waste boundary here. Sometimes there's a little bit of waste in between the veins. Sometimes there's several meters. The open pit won't be very deep. It might go down to about 150, 200 meters. It's a small deposit at the moment. I think the potential, which I'll show you here in a second, is very good. Richmond was not an exploration company. They mined these assets and moved on from one to the next. So in the open pit plan here in the feasibility study, we'll also have a sorting plant on site. This stuff sorts extremely well with X-rays. No water, no optical sorting is needed. Very similar to what we found at Dalradian. This is a good option for us to concentrate the ore before we have to haul it to the mill. So the mill that we have is 140 kilometers away from this deposit. The sorting really helps us concentrate the ore, improve the economics, reduce the number of trucks on the road, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So the plant that we have historically was around 97% recovery on this ore body, and feasibility level recoveries for this deposit at the moment, about 95.5%. So the results of the feasibility study, we had about 1.9 million tons, around 4.5 grams diluted in the open pit. Some good economics as a first start for us. 75 million Canadian of initial capital to get everything up and running, all in sustaining costs of just over $900 per ounce US. The average grade that would end up in the mill after the sorting is about 6.8 grams. So we do about 50 to 60,000 ounces per year. This is a good start for us, and this is what the company's mission was. We weren't trying to make it too big and too complex right away. This is a starter mine. We think there's growth in behind it, which I'll explain in a second. And we've taken a few important steps to start that growth. We bought a gold circuit at a mill with access to a permitted tailings pond back in 2021. This project has already been through the environmental assessment. We went through the EA for this project in 8 months. There's no federal triggers. There's no federal involvement in permitting for this asset. So that's fantastic. Our development plan and closure plans will be approved in Q1 of next year. So we're getting ready to submit them here at the end of the month. And I can't say enough about the jurisdiction. Newfoundland has been very open and welcoming for mining projects. They have a target, actually, of 5 new mines in the province by the year 2030. So I think that's pretty important. It's a great place to work. We did some early works at the Hammerdown open pit area. This is a view looking to the west. You can see some of the settling ponds there from the underground mining days. They did a small little bulk sample in the open pit when they first started. That open pit there graded over 20 grams per ton on a couple of different veins. The underground ramp is just over to the right of the image. So we have cleared the entire footprint for the mine, the sorting plant, and the waste dump. All of our waste rock is non-acid generating as well. We have no impact on any water courses. There are no threatened species or species at risk. It's just a fantastic site to work on. This is our mill. So we bought this gold circuit. It's part of the Nugget Pond processing plant. It's been sitting there since 2013, actually, on care and maintenance in some pretty good shape. Of course, we're going to have to replace some pumps and motors, seals, some pipes, instrumentation, but it's not too bad. The only major capital item we have to add is a small ball mill, 700 tons per day, to the front end of this circuit here, and we have everything that we need. So it's about 140 kilometers from Hammerdown. Well, that's the only, I guess, challenge I think on the project is the haulage. It's, diesel fuel is expensive. Inflation has certainly hit diesel fuel prices, but it's a good highway network. It's paved all the way. We don't haul through any communities or towns. So it's a pretty simple setup there. Now, the exploration potential we have here is very interesting. And anybody who presents on Newfoundland will tell you it's been really well prospected, but very poorly explored and drilled in general. So in this image here, you can see our Hammerdown deposit there. That's the open pit design. And what we're really interested in right now is this kind of 10-kilometer long trend. As you can obviously see, there are some big folds through this area. The blues would be the magnetic lows, which we often find as the good guidance for gold. So this is a 10-kilometer trend that's been lightly explored. The focus that we're working on right now as part of our 5,000-meter drill program is the area just between Orion to the south and Hammerdown, which is the next image. So here you can see our Hammerdown deposit. So the feasibility study was based on this deposit alone. and everything outside of that deposit is upside for us. We'll start down on the bottom left of the screen. This is the Orion deposit. It's about 2 kilometers away. So this is another version of a mag image. You're looking at the gray areas are actually magnetic lows. So the trend that runs from Orion up to Hammerdown and even up to the north, and then it starts to curl around to the right, that's the focus of this 5,000 meter program, which are about halfway through right now. We'll start having drill results coming out here in the next couple of weeks. Assay results, turnarounds are a lot better now than they were a year ago. We got up to 5 to 6 months to waiting for assay results last year. It's now about 4 weeks, so it's much, much better. So at the Orion zone, we can see here, this is a deposit that's it's wide open at depth and along strike. We've had some nice results in there, 4 meters of 26 grams per ton. We've also noticed that it continues to the northeast, the Orion zone, Orion North we call it, 90 grams over 0.2 meters. You will see these little 0.2, 0.3 meter wide veins, but they will sometimes be multi-ounce. So by the time you dilute it out, it tends to work. All these veins are generally vertical, so we're in good shape for mining that way. We found something to the northeast of that, just south of Hammerdown. It's only 300 meters south of the deposit, but it's in an area where no one's ever drilled before, surprisingly. And it was actually a condemnation drill hole from one of our waste dumps that found 30 meters of 0.76 grams. So we're drilling there now. This will be part of our next drill result press release to come up. We do have options with the dump, so it's not going to sterilize it. We can move and sequence the dump in a way to avoid any sterilization of resources. And even as we continue to the northeast of Hammerdown, we call Golden Anchor, which is a target up to the northeast. Again, lightly drilled, but we've already noticed some veins that continue. Up in there, we had 12 grams over 6 meters on intersection up there. So it is wide open. It's a great little project for us. We are advancing Hammerdown through the remaining permits. We'll be looking at project financing in the new year. Quick section here at Orion. So if we go back, this is that section line you see here just at the bottom. We'll give you an idea of where we think the growth comes from. This is probably the best potential we have right now in this area. So it's a almost vertical vein system, similar to Hammerdown, but we do get some mineralization. It's a little bit different, thicker, more continuous. We'll get 5 grams over 13 meters. We get 8 grams over 5, pretty typical. We need to do more drilling here, and that's really what our focus is now. We'll look for shallow open pit style targets first, because those are the quickest ones we can develop, and we'll continue working down at depth. Okay, we have one other asset I'll mention. This is something we picked up a year ago when we bought that gold circuit that I showed you on the mill on the screen there, the plant, from Rambler. It included a number of other assets along with this deal. We had a royalty package, which we then sold to Nomad. We picked up this asset as well as part of the deal. It's called Lac Peltier. It's in Rouyn-Noranda, Quebec, right in the heart of the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. As a junior company, we're not very big. We have to focus on what we have in Newfoundland, which is our main assets. This one is strategic for us. It's for sale. So if you know anybody looking for a project, this one I think is pretty good. We did our updated resource this summer. It's about 240,000 ounces of around 4 grams per ton. It's about 2 kilometers north of the Cadillac Fault, a few kilometers east of Yamana's Wasamac project, which is a development stage project for the company. I guess Agnico will be taking that one over pretty soon. But it's in Rouyn-Noranda. It's a famous mining camp. We're next door to a very deep underground mine that ran close to, I think, back in the 60s. It's, the project has 3,000 meters of underground development in place already. And what we found out after the fact, when we started looking at it, when the deal was closed, it actually has a valid permit for 1,000 tons a day of production. So you could, or whoever wants to, could come in here and mine 1,000 tons a day and ship it to any one of the mills in this area. So world-class mining camp. There is also nickel and copper potential on the project. Really, no one's followed up on this since 2005, 2006. It's kind of been stuck in limbo for that time. But we updated the resource. It's, I think, a good project, and we're looking for a home for this one right now. Yep, this is it.
Okay.
Okay.
Very much, Garett.
Yeah, thank you.
And maybe we do just one question.
because lunch is waiting for us. So we have a question. Okay, then I'm asking you next releases, when we will see that?
Sorry?
The next results?
Yeah, probably in about 1 to 2 weeks will be our next press release
Okay.
on drill results, followed after that by news on our final permits.
So you're already working on the financing of the mine.
That's right. Yeah.
Give me a timetable.
Financing
It's hard, I know.
Yeah, it's a hard question to answer. I would think within the first half of next year. We'll be
First
looking
half of
at-
next
yeah.
year. Okay, thank you very much. Garett will be here for your questions if you're interested in one-to-one, and I wish you enjoy your meal.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Garett.
Yeah.